talk today, the title of it is Laying the Foundation, How Appropriate, for the first Sunday in the new year. So this is all about the tipping point, which we've heard of, or the turning point. So most of us have heard about the tipping point, which is a moment in time where there is this critical mass that is just tipping for a major change to occur in the world. And I believe that's taking place right now. And it usually feels like a little chaos before that clarity comes through. So there is a shift in consciousness that I am realizing and recognizing, and I think a lot of us are. So in today's world, it's often used to describe where we are globally, especially environmentally. You know, that whole tipping point of that. If we tip too far in the direction of destroying Mother Earth, for example, we won't be able to get her back. Although I really don't believe that I think Mother Earth is much more powerful than we are. You know, we just think that we control all of these things, when in reality, true reality, we really don't. But it is a concern. It's a definite concern. And that's what I want us to explore, not the environmental, but the turning points in life. That's what I want to discuss for the whole month of January. Those moments of decision, the moments where we individually and collectively decide to make a shift, a change, a new direction on a conscious level, to head in a whole different direction perhaps, to view things in a different way, another way, and maybe cultivating a new behavior, a different way of showing up in life could be. Perhaps you are here this morning because it is a turning point in your life. Perhaps not. Perhaps you just love being here, which I hope you do. So the results of turning points are radically different outcomes. And I'm going to give you some examples. There are radically different outcomes that come when we make that decision to turn into a different way of showing up in life, a different way possibly of viewing situations. So this month, we're going to be supported by strong foundation of our New Thought teachings. And we will have personal, because we're going to be doing a lot of, I know some people here who love this book, EQ. So it's going to be on the book table next week. We have a whole bunch of them. We're going to be doing handouts and exercises to help us make this shift, if we choose to make it, just to enjoy a happier life, a more conscious living life. And so the whole point of making any kind of shift, I would think, would be to lead us into a life of more joy, more peace. Mm-hmm. And I love what I heard this morning, a gentle way of showing up in this coming year, mm-hmm. A gentle way of experiencing life. Okay, so today we're going to lay the groundwork, which is setting the tone, not just for the month, but for the entire year. I like January to be our foundation, where we lay that groundwork, a strong foundation of what we really want to experience in the coming year. And that, in and of itself, has a tremendous impact on our planet. So I'd like to quote Julie McIntyre, director of the Center for Earth Relations, who once said this: "There comes a point where you know without doubt, without hesitation, that you cannot go back to your old life. You cannot be who you once were and also have a new life." You ever do that? Mm-hmm. Like once you've made that decision to leave, it's the turning point. There's no going back. I remember when I left my marriage in the middle of the night, because that's how I do things. But I knew that when I closed that door, I wasn't going back into that door. That was it. That's one of those times in life when we close the door knowing the old behavior, the old way of life is not going to play out anymore. It's going to be new. It's going to be different. It can be frightening, but when you get that call and you know you need to make that turn, that change in your life, and you do, it's very, very powerful. So on the first Sunday of this year, at a time where individual and collective turning points are so important, we're going to look at 5 different perspectives on life, and maybe the way that you personally view them. And to identify, if you can, which you probably will, with one of these 5 different perspectives. There's 2 different perspectives for each point. Some of you have the old views that no longer serve you, and maybe you're in the middle of shifting, segueing into a whole new way of viewing just how you believe, what you believe, and how you are moving in your life. So on the other hand, there may be some of you that wished, that say, I wish that new view, I'd like to have it. I really wish that I had it. I'd like to have it. I would rather be healthier and happier if I did, but I simply don't. And you may have it in your head, but it hasn't reached down into the heart yet. Because to really have the new perspective or new belief in anything, the thoughts come, but we gotta embrace it. We gotta embrace it in our heart to really live it out. So those are the ones that I want you to pay close attention to as I go through these. These are the turning point views, the ones that are yours to pick up and to try on. And so this month, we are installing into the foundation of your belief system, because they can, or they will, send your life in a very different direction. I know they have shifted my life, so let's get going with them. So the old view, I'm going to give you old view and new view. Number 1, and this is all about, because I really do believe that it's always going to come to our personal relationship with a higher power, with the God of our understanding. So this is about God. God is a judgmental man outside of me determining whether or not I am worthy of anything. God is to be feared. And I have to be very, very, very good in order to gain his favor. I have to beg, plead, and bargain with God, because God's punishments are meted out here. And in the afterlife, it's not just here, it's in the afterlife, this fear is here. This is a view that a lot of world has. It's a view that I was brought up with. And maybe some of you were brought up with that same kind of belief. This is a God of love, by the way, that has to be feared, which never made sense to me as a child, but that's what was taught to me. And it was truly a defining moment when I found a philosophy of spirituality that was a turning point in my life. I remember it. Just hearing Ernest Holmes' words for the first time completely shifted everything in my life, because it rang true. It felt right. If you're like me, it has to make sense. It's got to make sense. The old way did not make sense. It never made sense to me. But when I was reading Ernest Holmes, which was my first foray into New Thought, it was like, this makes sense. This I can take in and cultivate a relationship with the divine essence of who I am. So here's the turning point on view 1. God is the energy of love and creation that flows through all, sustains all, is in fact the loving presence that's within all of life. I even like the word. It sounds so much better than the other already. So this is why I love Science of Mind, New Thought. I love it because it's so, you talk about kind, it is gentle, it is beautiful, it is loving. The energetic world is a world of love. Every religion teaches that, right? God is love. What does that mean? There's an energy, a vibration to that. And it is the foundation of all else. It all rests on that one premise, that God is love. It is the building block that forms everything else. when we really get to that point of trusting that there is a power for good and that power is for me, in me, as me. That's a turning point view. And in the words of Ernest Holmes, God is the living spirit almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. The Spirit, I think this is what Barb read already. The Spirit, it is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. The Spirit is incarnated in everyone, and all people are incarnations of this one Spirit. There is an eternal goodness, an eternal love, an eternality. Just an afterlife that is filled with love and light. That's what I believe. That's what this the science of mind is teaching us. So there's nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear when we leave these bodies, because this is an eternal, loving presence that we should be safe in. That's what we want to cultivate in our lives, that feeling of faith, of knowing that we are always taken care of. And it could be, this is the view number 2. The world is a scary place. Our job is to put on armor and to work like heck to stay one step ahead of the terrorists, the super germs, the dysfunctional families, and the whatever, you fill in the blank. In this view of our world, our job is just to survive, just to survive. And then you get, and it's like survive, what is it? Survive, strive, or thrive. Which one of those categories? And we go in and out of them all, but the view is life sucks and then you die. Maybe you know a few people who say that, who think that, who believe that, who talk that. And that's a reality that people feel. But I suspect that every single one of us can name at least one person that they know that feels that way. It's a struggle. It's, you know, and things do take place in life, but we're always at choice at how we respond to them, how we really show up and experience some of those tremendous, sometimes they're real shocks that take place in our lives. So the turning point on that view, number 2, is the universe actually has our back and is constantly conspiring for our highest and very best good, and is sending us blessings and gifts and always supporting us all of the time. Our turning point view, doesn't that feel so much better than the other? Our turning point view says that we live in a cooperative, user-friendly world, and that no matter how it may appear to the naked eye, to us in our experiences, life is pure, unadulterated form in a bubbling cauldron of limitless possibilities. There's limitless, infinite possibilities. We might have been trained to think that it's limited, and we can only do so much in these make-believe boxes that people have built that don't really exist, only in one's mind. So what if the idea were actually true? That the universe is supporting us, is loving us, is for us, and that there's limitless, infinite potentiality. So again, in the words of Ernest Holmes, the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that you are sure to attain this goal. What if you had that as your view? Would it be a turning point in your life? Would that help you look at things in a whole different way than that life sucks one? That's, I don't know, for me that's in a very low vibration. And I know so many people, and I don't judge them, but I just, for myself, I want to be happy. And I can't be happy if that's my view. It just doesn't go together. So let's move on to the old view, number 3. Life happens to me. These things are always happening to me. To me. I am an innocent bystander, but I'm always the victim. I'm always the victim of disease, my own dysfunction, and all these other aspects of life. It happens to me. External events constantly get in my face. The best I can do is learn to cope. Learn to cope with these external events. That's the best that I can do. Sometimes it is, by the way. But here's the new view, the turning point view. Life emanates from me. I create my world with my thoughts, with my beliefs, and with my energetic frequencies. I create it. I am in control of my life. Life doesn't happen to me. I happen to life. It's just a shift, but it's huge. It's huge. I believe it's huge. So the turning point is that God operates through a universal mind. There's one mind, that's God's mind, that's my mind now. We say that all the time in our teachings. And do we really believe it? There's one mind, that's God's mind, that's my mind now. We use that divine mind when we're in this kind of flow. This creative mind that receives the direct impress of our thought and our emotions upon it. It's that law that gives us back what we feel and what we think and what we do. It is our power to affect the conditions and circumstances in our lives through the power of this mind. We're not alone, you see. We have this infinite wisdom, a divine wisdom that we can tap upon. I know I got a whole crazy thing going on Wednesday, and so I got caught up in the drama of this crazy thing. And then I said, wait a second, take a breath and just know that everything is in divine right order. And for me, that works. Otherwise, I was playing out these scenarios. I mean, that could have been a great movie even, because it was so long from this one experience. It was this big, huge, 150-page, drama that I'm playing out. No. Divine right order. That way I can follow it, and I know that everything it's getting out of your own way. That's what it is. It's getting out of your own way. And this from the science of mind. He writes, we cannot say that one thought is creative while another is not. We must say that all thought is creative according to the nature, impulse, emotion, or conviction behind the thought. Ignorance of this excuses no one from its effect, for we are dealing with the law and not with a whimsical fancy. We get what we think. We get what we feel. We get it shows up in our lives. We get it. It's cause and effect. No way around it. If you had this view, really had this view, deep embedded within you, how would you live? You see, I shifted from this whole scenario into simply divine right order. Shifted everything. Peace. Letting go of control, because it was all about how I was going to control this whole entire thing, which of course I can't do. But if I know it's in divine right order, there's a power, a wisdom, a mind that I can use. So that was a choice. So I have a little story here about shoe salespeople, these two guys. They went overseas to scout for new markets. Their first stop was a country where everyone was barefoot. The first salesman sent back a telegram to the home office saying, leaving tomorrow, this is an impossible market. No one wears shoes. And the other guy, Joe's telegram was different. He said, great potential market. There's absolutely no competition. One scenario, two different perceptions and perspectives on it. If reality is our doing, then we have the power to create a life that we love, a life that's worth living, just like Joe. All we have to do is give up that belief of deprivation and lack, because that's the separateness, where we think that we're separate from the great I am, when in true reality, we are not. This is what we teach. But we forget sometimes because we're having a human experience. That's why we need to be gentle with ourselves. But really, return to that place of spiritual truth. Here's old view number 4. No pain, no gain. We've heard this. Well, I'm over with pain. I don't know about you guys. I am totally sick of pain. And you know what I mean? I don't need to gain anything else except for comfort. So we've become accustomed in the life sucks paradigm that it never occurs to us that there is another reality, another way to live life, another way to see things, another way to be. A happy reality is possible. Pain, loneliness, and fear are the contexts within which we live our lives in this old perspective. We're so conditioned sometimes. Just see where you are in both of these. We're so conditioned to wallow in the misery that the concept of life as a joyous adventure seems impossible or even unnatural. And there is a different way. There is always a different way to view life. And this is the turning point. The turning point view is there is no reason to struggle. Once we let go and surrender to the universal flow of life, with a capital L, life takes over. It takes charge and takes care of the details. It does this naturally when we get our bloated nothingness, as some would say, out of the way. When we get it out of the way. So Pam Brown in her book, cubed. I'm not doing the square one. We did that one. E cubed, yes. Every moment we waste, she writes this, every moment we waste on the worst case scenarios undermines our ability to create the true and beautiful. Every moment we spend worrying erects a block between us and all the signs and opportunities. And yes, blatant love that is here for the sole purpose of our enjoyment. It's already present. We just have to tune in. Tune in. And that's a turning point. Here's another turning point thought. Heaven is actually within us. We create our own heaven and hell within us because we experience it. It's not out here. It's in here, what we experience from what is going on. And so to the degree that we become aware of it, we're either suffering in hell, or we've made that decision, which I was in hell with this whole thing on Wednesday. It was like, oh my God, it was hell. And I said, no, shift the thinking. And that shift in thinking simply was God is divine right order. Since I am of God, then my life is in divine right. Made that heaven. It's like, okay, it's going to flow. Because I let go. I let go of the control. So we're going to move into the old view of number 5, the last one. I'm not worthy of a good life. I think I'm not worthy is our biggest false belief that we all have. It shows up in so many different ways in our lives. I am not worthy of a good life. I am inherently flawed, inherently bad. Something is wrong with me. Something is wrong. This could have come from old religious teachings. It could have come from our parents, our siblings, or any kind of experience that we had when we were young. But this old view must be jettisoned. It must be released. So the turning point view, my worthiness is not at stake. It never has been and it never will be. There is nothing required of me to be worthy of. I simply am worthy by my birthright. I am a creation of this divine God stuff. So by my birthright, that worthiness is already within me. The truth is, your soul, your spirit, your destiny are all a part of this one life, this one God. So let's do some power positions. I am worthy of all the love I can embrace.
I am worthy of all the love I can embrace.
I am worthy of all the universal good there is.
I am worthy of all the universal good there is.
I am worthy worthy to live the life of my dreams.
I am worthy to live the life of my dreams.
And I am worthy to live in a state of complete health.
I am worthy to live in a state of complete health.
So it is.
So it is.
So the crux of our morning then is this. It's this. I love doing that. It's something energetic about claiming that good. So when you do your affirmations, you can do it in public if you want. Who cares anymore, right? You have a choice to which views of life that you really want to live. The views are your turning point views, turning from one to the other. Because, the remnants of these old views will come up. They will come up. So for this month, for this next 31 days, starting right here, right now, I want each of us to choose to put on those turning point views of new ways of being in our lives. Those of you that already have, it's time then to take them to a deeper level. You can never get to the absolute because we're always expanding, we're always deepening. What's expanding is our understanding. So our understanding of these spiritual philosophies is always deepening. So turning point view number one is God is an energy of love and creation that flows through all, that sustains all, that surrounds all. In fact, it is all. Number one. Number two, the universe actually has our back, and it's constantly conspiring for our very highest and best good. Turning point number three, life emanates from us. We create our world through our thoughts, our beliefs, our energetic frequencies. Turning point number four, there is no reason to struggle once we let go. Surrender to the universal flow of life. Life will take over and take care of all the details. And turning point number five, our worthiness is not at stake. It never has been, and it never will be. We are worthy of all the good we could ever hold in our consciousness, in our belief system. And don't let anything to the contrary of that take over your thoughts. We are simply worthy because of who we are. For those of you who have been in New Thought, spirituality from a time, you might have heard a lot of stuff that I've been talking about. Maybe you didn't put it together, but I did hand out papers. They were on everyone's seat. But this is the whole kind of structure of this. Well, you don't really need it, but it's something to take home that you might want. Okay, it's from Ernest Holmes and What We Believe.